excavating the ruins of Kandahar with a group of my colleagues. Samanda rosa, darkis aitertan
Candyman, 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 Candyman,
Panda.
Talk to me.
My victim. Time to go to sleep.
Even after my last con experience being pretty disappointing, I'm back on it, about to go to another con for one guest, maybe two, and to top it all off, I'm going to try to throw together a costume / prop within a week to bring with me. And I'm going to make it out of what you see here. On the left, I have a stuffed black cat. On the right, I have a plastic cat skeleton. The person I'm going to go meet is Jeffrey Combs. I think it kind of writes itself, right? Not pictured here is a soundboard I picked up to add to this. I also have a glove piece that I'm going to be using as part of this costume, just a rubber glove, so I didn't bother digging it out for this. I picked up a lab coat, and I probably need to go pick up a syringe and a green LED light for it. But essentially what I'm trying to do is to turn this cat into a puppet of the cat from the beginning of Re-Animator. So I've seen various props at theme parks and things where it looks like a person is carrying around, often it's a dinosaur, but they're carrying around like a baby animal puppet. You know, they have a jacket on or something. It looks like they have their hand cradling the animal from underneath, when actually that's a fake hand and their actual hand is inside the head of the animal puppeteering it. So that's my goal here. I want to put the audio player in there so I can actually click on like cat howling sounds and have it look like the cat's actually screaming and stuff. Not going for a full-on Herbert West cosplay, just something within the Re-Animator universe of really the cat is going to be the star of the costume. I'm just going to be the sack of meat behind it, puppeteering it, and wearing a bloody lab coat. So, it begins the challenge. Can I get this thing done in under a week? Let's find out. So with the skull, I made a couple of modifications. I gutted the back of it, so I could actually put some fingers in the back of the skull. That's kind of gross. And then I added, on the bottom here, a little piece for my thumb to go on, so I could actually puppeteer it. And then inside the mouth, I added a piece of plastic to the bottom jaw to kind of fill it out, to have like, you know, an actual bit of something there for my thumb to rest against on the other side. And then I add a little piece of foam to kind of be a tongue. This needs some shaping still, and then I'm going to paint it all up and start skinning this thing again. Or, as skinning's taking the skin off, but is it also putting the skin back on? Yeah, but gonna keep going on that. So there it is with the inside of the mouth painted. I need to clean up around the teeth because I was just doing it really quick, figuring I could scrape off to the bone color underneath if I got it on the teeth themselves. But there you go. He's got an inside of the mouth. I may go over this again. It's a little bright pink. But for now, I think this will do until I get the skin on it, and I'll see how that really looks. So I went out and got some parts for this. This is actually coming together faster than I thought, but I'm still far from done. But I got a foam hand to put inside of this glove that then goes into the lab coat. So the glove's holding the cat. It's not the most convincing hand underneath the cat, but you know, at least it gives the impression that it's being held by something. And I'll probably mess with it some more. But then I cut a hole in the glove, so like right around midway up the glove, my hand's actually coming out, going through the body of the cat, and then into its head, where I can puppeteer the cat. So I think I showed earlier there's a little loop on his bottom jaw, so I could actually pull the jaw down. It basically springs back into its normal position once it's done, but I can kind of push it closed as well. I can move the head. I do still have to reattach the head because right now it's not part of the doll, but I think once I get that figured out, I also do want to, I have the rest of this cat skeleton, so I'm going to put the rib cage probably over on this side and have it exposed. I got some expanding foam to do like some entrails and stuff coming out of it. Obviously got to bloody this thing up quite a bit and then get the electronics going, but for a day's work, I think I got pretty far and achieved at least something decent. I also ran into the problem where I was running around to different Spirit Halloweens and Party Cities trying to find a prop syringe to use, and the only thing I could find that it was even remotely close was like the party shop version that Spirit sells, and it was like You had to buy 6 of them, and they were $10. And, you know, I just really didn't want to spend too much on it because it's just going to be a small bit of the costume. And then I realized that I could just go to Walmart and buy an actual syringe. So $2 later, that was done. So this is the board that I picked up from Amazon that will do the sound for the cat. So it's a pretty nice little unit. It's got the main board here. It's got a speaker, a battery, an on-off switch, a programming port. It's got a microphone so you can actually record directly on here if you want, or you can put MP3s on it. And then it has a volume option here with 6 different settings. And then the switch itself is separate from the board. So I already loaded my files on here. If I turn it on, so I loaded 9 different files on there, just to give me a bit of variety. You know, basically just sequence through them in order. It would be cool if I could randomize them, but this is fine. So basically what I'm going to do is put this button in the top of the cat's skull. I may need to extend this wire a bit. I'm not entirely sure yet. But then to have the board inside the body of the puppet. And it's pretty darn loud. I was surprised how loud it is. So I think it's actually going to work out pretty well being inside of a puppet and then being at a convention or whatever where it's going to be loud outside of everything else. I think it'll still be heard at a decent volume. I don't even know if it's bright enough to show this thing off properly, but I wanted to show off Rufus as he stands so far. This is about 2 days into working on it, so I'm actually surprised how far I've gotten with it. It's obviously going to be what it is. It is, you know, it's never going to be a realistic cat, but I've gotten a lot of elements together, so I can actually hopefully spend the next couple days, you know, kind of refining things and adding detail and stuff. So I guess we'll start from the bottom here. I have this glove that came, it was like my old Harry Warden glove that I upgraded, and I think it's just like a kitchen glove. I have the fake hand in it here, giving the fingers some definition, and my hand is sticking out of like this part of it, going up into the cat's head. I've got the syringe here in the back that is vellum paper around kind of the inside of the tube here. And then Target actually in their $1 spot or $5 spot had EL wire kits. So I actually stuffed a bunch of EL wire in there. In person, you can see that there is a shape to it. But on camera, I think it actually looks pretty good. There is some various stuffing. There's actually a bunch of paper in his butt right now. Here on the side, I mixed up a couple different types of guts hanging out of him. So some of this bigger, like organs, is expanding foam that I've painted. And this is some medical bandage that I kind of wadded up and bloodied for intestines. I don't know how big cat intestines are. They look a little small, but maybe I'll find something else to go in with it. I know the old standby for like human ones are like pantyhose that are stuffed and bloodied, so I may do that. Then of course you've got the cat's face. So I have the skull under here with the skin pasted on. On the bottom jaw I have a loop, and sometimes I get really good jaw action out of it, and sometimes I gotta find the right placement. So there is decent mouth movement out of it. And then on the upper jaw, so my thumb is on the lower jaw, and then my index and middle finger are up in his head, and then there's a button in there so I can get noises. I think that's pretty cool for what it is for a couple days work. Like I said, I'm going to keep refining him, probably, and then the lab coat is currently drying. I bloodied that up, but it was too much blood and too humid outside, so it was taking forever to dry. So I moved it in and just hoping that will finish soon enough. But I think this will be interesting. I've rarely had a cosplay where I've had a free hand, even particularly my right hand free. So that's going to be nice to actually be able to do things, even though his hand's covered in fake blood too. But yeah, I'm curious how this is going to work. The speaker in here is way louder than I thought it was going to be, so I think you'll hear it inside of a convention. The annoying part really is putting this on and off, because it's a lot of parts. So both the board for his sound and his ass light are separate controls, and then he is physically separate pretty much from the glove. I stick his legs in between the fingers, and then there's a Velcro tab on his butt that holds him down to the right spot so his body actually kind of stretches out properly and the needle sticks up. So to take it off, I have to kind of unvelcro that, undo his arms, and then kind of wiggle them off my hand with trying not to pull too many wires. So I may go back in and maybe hot glue the wire connectors for the speaker, because that's the one that keeps coming apart because it can detach on either end. And the switch is on the side of the board, so it's easy enough to turn off. And then deep in his bowels, thankfully there's a light on the box for the reagent. And that has multiple modes. Obviously, it doesn't make sense for the character, but I could have rave mode or slow blinking mode. So if Herbert West eventually designed those modes, we could do that. And then, like I was talking about, that is my hand sticking out from the glove, so I can clap with one hand. So it's the day before the convention. I'm glad I worked on this early in the week because I really didn't have a whole lot of time towards the end of the week. I don't think I touched this thing yesterday. But I think I'm pretty much set. Not a whole lot has changed since the last clip I filmed, but I did make a couple adjustments. Obviously, I think this is the first time I've really shown off the lab coat. It's just a cheap lab coat off Amazon. I bloodied up the side here, which is basically where the cat would sit if I held it against my body, figuring that would be kind of where it would bleed. The sleeve got bloody up here by accident. The wrist of it's bloody, but I decided it would be better to tuck it into the glove, just because the glove's a better place to secure the cat's ass. Beyond the lab coat, I'm just going really casual with the costume. I'm just going to wear a t-shirt underneath it and button up, and then just wearing some black jeans. Figure I'll put my hair back or whatever, just to look a little more scientist-y. But not gonna really stress about it. I was gonna maybe wear like a shirt and tie underneath here, but I'm not gonna bother with that. I'm just gonna keep it a little more casual, a little more simple. And then when I'm done cosplaying, it'll be easy enough to take the puppet off and take the lab coat off and just be kind of normal. It's supposed to be a little bit on the cooler side, but in Florida in the summer, that still means it's like 80 something degrees and probably raining. So, I'd rather have the option to not melt all day if I don't want to. I did end up painting the glove with some Plasti Dip to go from a darker blackish color to gray, just to contrast a little more with the cat. Still don't know if it's showing up on camera well. It's not. I think ideally I should paint this a much lighter color. But for now, I had gray Plasti Dip on hand. It was the lightest color I had on hand, so it may do. I did bloody up the hand too. I think I may take these fingers and maybe glue them a little bit together still, just to give it more of a realistic hand shape. But honestly, I think this glove may be getting completely redone if I do this costume again in the future. I also went back through the cat and used some spray adhesive to kind of mat down the fur a little bit. So basically sprayed a section and just sat there and kind of plucked at the hair a little bit and grimed it up. It got it looking a little less like a plush toy and a little more like a matted dead cat. Still not very convincing in terms of realism, but neither was the one in the movie, to be quite honest. Honestly, looking at this, there's not a thing on here besides maybe the soundboard and the cat skull that I wouldn't try to redo completely. I think everything on here can be improved, but I think this is going to be good enough. Honestly, given the option, I would love to rebuild it out of one of these. This is, I think it's called a For Real Friend or something. I have this one because it is the same model used in the show Holliston, and I repainted it to match the cat they have in that show. But you can see it's a much furrier body. Even though it has electronics, I'd have to gut a lot of it and it might be more of a pain in the ass. I think having the longer hair would end up looking a lot better, just more realistic. I mean, the face on here is dopey looking, but the rest of the body I think is a lot more convincing than the plush toy version here. But it's too late now. Like I said, in 24 hours I will be at the con, and I have a lot to do between now and then that's not related to this costume. So I'm going to wrap up this video here, and then probably the next thing you'll see in terms of a vlog from me will be the convention itself. Hopefully it goes better than the last one.